Hello and welcome to TrialJoin's webinar on increasing the quality of clinical research and the best ways to solve the most common inefficiencies. So a clinical trial research site is just like any other business. And just like any other business, it has inefficiencies and imperfections, and there are lots of layers that a research site really needs to get right to form a really cohesive business and really help grow and make sure the research site has a promising future. So we really wanted to reach out to research sites and find out exactly what problems they had and how they solved them. And really, it's cutting back on these inefficiencies and making sure everyone's on the same page is the reason that a lot of big research sites have been successful and will continue to be successful. So the most common inefficiencies have to do with recruitment and awareness. Really, it's on the research site to really drum up a lot of the interest from patients so that they can have a pool of patients to pull from when new studies come down the pipeline. And there are a lot of different parties that are involved in clinical research. It's not just the research site. You have the sponsors, the CROs, you have the PIs, and you have recruitment agencies, and a lot of different people that are connected in this industry. So just wanted to jump really quickly into the inefficiencies. The one thing that we found was that some sites were not doing enough work. They didn't have enough studies, they weren't recruiting enough patients, and the fact that they were not able to recruit enough patients really snowballed into the other inefficiencies that were not being able to track down studies, not having enough business development efforts, and really it was the site's way of doing things that really led to them not having enough patients to really pull from. So one of the second problems we found was relying solely on recruitment agencies. While a recruitment agency that recruits patients that are more educated is definitely important for a research site, it shouldn't be the sole means of recruiting patients. You really need a solid database, maybe even other ad ventures where you can drum up a lot of the interest in your site for not only patients, but really for sponsors as well. So don't just focus on these third-party recruitment agencies. You really have to put in the legwork to build out your database, advertise, and make sure that your research site is really involved in your community so that you can have a pool of patients to pull from. It's also important that the research site is doing a lot of business development in terms of reaching out to CROs and reaching out to sponsors to ensure that they have a pipeline rich with studies that are always coming through so that they can pick and choose what studies would be best for them to run. It's not enough to just have a patient population. It's also important that the research site is grabbing the attention of these CROs and these sponsors to be able to get the studies and the amount of work that you need to keep your research site afloat and ultimately be as successful as you can be. And so we mapped out just a little bit of how the process of acquiring a research site will go. Usually the sponsor contracts the CRO and the CRO chooses a research site. The research site should have a PI that fits the study, and then enrolling patients into the study is the most important thing once you lock down a study. So if this fails, then usually the sponsor will contact the CRO to find them another site. The CRO will find another PI that does have the database. The physician is trained in the research and becomes a PI, and then the CRO will contract that new site so that the research study has enough patients. As you can see, it all comes down to the patients and if you have the population to get these patients into your study. And so now that you are aware of the inefficiencies, it's just important to see where you can improve your research site. The lack of awareness of patients is one of the biggest hurdles in recruitment. And, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's on the research site to really kill these misrepresentations of themselves and work to rebuild the image of a research site as one of uh, a business that is working to develop new drugs and really find efficient ways of treating patients. And so one of the things you can do is content marketing. The most important thing about content marketing is making sure that you have enough content to keep up with social media. Social media moves at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and it's important that you're constantly marketing and you have enough content to fill up your blogs and your social media posts to attract patients and educate patients to your research site. One of the important things is to educate physicians. Even though physicians do have a background in healthcare, it is a completely different ballgame when they are the PI of your research site or they are referring patients over to your site. So it's important to let them know what a clinical trial entails and educating physicians just as you would patients. A lot of research sites oftentimes do not go out into their own community, and it's important that the research site knows that they are a part of the community, they are a part of the economy of their community, and as well as just reaching out to patients around them so that their image is one of a community and they have patients to reach out to. So one way of doing this is word of mouth. Obviously, treating your patients right will help them spread the brand name of your research site. You can visit clinics and health centers. You can have face-to-face conversations with doctors and patients. And health fairs are something that is very important that we have a few articles about in starting health fairs and joining health fairs. But it is important to reach out into the community so that patients and the community knows that you are there for their benefit as much as you are for your own. And so some other common inefficiencies we've found is that there are increasing costs constantly in the industry. Study startup times have been getting longer in terms of the sponsors reaching out to the sites, having the site initiation visits, and then starting up the study. Investigators sometimes walk away from research, which can lead to other problems, and there are always, of course, extended timelines and delays that do have to do with either patients not being recruited fast enough or the sponsors making amendments to the protocols. There are always going to be bumps that the research site will come in contact with in the course of the study. And those are just some of the ways that you can increase the productivity of your research site. It does come down to a lot of reaching out in your community, building up the brand name of your clinical trial, and really being a source of education for patients both online and when they do come into your site. I hope that we helped shed some light on some inefficiencies that your site may be suffering from. And if you have any questions or any suggestions on how we can improve this video, please reach out to us. Thank you.